All right, nerds. We have an episode. We have a very deep. This is a long one, and not a whole lot in the rumor mill, but it is still pretty beefy all over. No comic books to speak of. We do have a fair amount of music to speak of, and I feel like that makes up for the lack of comic books. So, without any further ado, housekeeping. I got nothing. We still got the old, your mom thinks I'm advertiser friendly back there in the background, so check out the Nerd Stores. You can find the links down in the description or over on the website, generallynerdy.net. Before we do get into the news, let's not forget all of the things that we need to do as a YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the subscribe button if you have not already. If this is your first time, welcome. We are going to talk about all of the nerdy news. If you are not new to the channel, or even if you are, don't forget to smash the thumbs up because that does help a lot, and it's totally free, so why not? Like, I'm not really that annoying, am I? Either way, I appreciate you, nerds. Let's talk about the news. We're talking music first, and music is much larger than normal, and we actually have some follow-ups and corrections for the music section. So let's start with those. Follow-ups, we have the update on that Seven Dust album we've been keeping quasi-tabs on. The name and the release date have been announced. The name is Blood and Stone, and the release date is October 23rd. So pretty awesome. If you like the new metals and you like the Seven Dusts, then you should be pretty happy. Actually, why wouldn't you like Seven Dust? They're actually kind of great. Kind of good. I'll go that far. I don't know about great, but they're pretty dang good. So go check that out. Marilyn Manson finally released the title of the new record, and it is called We Are Chaos. And he announced that the release date is going to be September 11, and he released the first single, which is the title track from the record. So there is a link to that down in the description, and we're going to be doing a reaction video for it very soon as well. So all of that follow-ups. Next, we're moving over to Corey Taylor. I just need to clarify a couple of things because I didn't take very good notes in the last episode, so I'm clarifying it now. So the name of the record is simply called CMFT. So Corey Motherfucking Taylor. And then we also have the two singles that were released because it was rumored that he was going to be releasing two singles, and it hadn't been confirmed, so I didn't put it in the episode, and I took really poor notes. So the first one is called Black Eyes Blue, and the second one is featuring Tech Nine and Kid Bookie. Again, don't know who Kid Bookie is, but he made it into the notes this time. The name of that song is CMFT Must Be Stopped. I think I had the name of the song down incorrectly, and I believe I even put that down as the name of the record. I don't remember, but either way, straightened it out. We're good to go. And then one more follow-up that is around the new Static X project, Regeneration. I actually just recorded a reaction video, should be up by the end of the weekend, to one of the newer songs from that. So that's coming, but that's not what we're talking about. The follow-up is Tony Campos, the guy who plays bass in the band, the original bass player for Static X. Is now, because before they weren't talking about it, but now that we're kind of in this weird state of quarantine constantly, he's not ruling out, quote unquote, not ruling out potential new music with this new lineup for Static X. So Edsel Dope playing the role of Zero, aka Wayne Static, could be the new look for Static X. We could get new music from Static X. How do you feel about that potential? Let's talk about that down in the comment section, but that's what we've got for follow-ups and corrections. Now let's talk about the actual news. And first up in the actual news, theoretically, this could have gone in follow-ups, but not really. It's Mastodon. We've been talking about the fact that Mastodon is recording new music, but that's not what this is 100%. Yes, part of this is new music from Mastodon, but really what this is Mastodon is releasing another Rarities record. This time it's going to look a little bit different than the last time they did a Rarities record. Actually, no, I think I'm confusing Mastodon with Converge, because Converge has a Rarities record, but I don't believe Mastodon does. Yeah, so Mastodon is releasing a Rarities record. It is called Medium Rarities. I don't know if September 11th is the release date for this one as well. So Marilyn Manson and Mastodon on the same day. Okay. We have a bunch of covers, instrumentals, live tracks, and soundtrack compilations that they've contributed to. They've piled all of them together, and they're putting them out on this new record called Medium Rarities. No sign in the track list, though, of that Three Dog Night cover that they did for those Army of Two commercials a few years back. The one is the Loneliest Number cover. That I still have not been able to find anywhere. Even the less than valid places to find music don't have a full version of that. So I wonder when they're going to release that one. But on the actual track list for this one include, where'd my notes go? We have a Butthole Surfers cover of Atlanta that also has Gibby Haynes on the track, so that's freaking awesome because Gibby Haynes is always a win. The Game of Thrones White Walker song is on there, and the Cut You Up with a Linoleum Knife, the song that they contributed to the Aqua Teen's Hunger Force soundtrack, is also on this record. So yes, please, more, thank you. Also, the name of the new song that is on this record, because there is one new song. Like I said, there's a very little bit of new music here, but one new song is called Fallen Torches, and not only is it a new song, but it also features Scott Kelly from Neurosis. So, wins all over the place. You get a win, and you get a win, and we're moving on. Next, we're talking about Code Orange, and I don't know how I missed that this was happening, but recently, you can find the link to it down in the description, they recently did a quote-unquote stripped down set that they basically played all of the songs from their Forever record, and then right in the middle of the set list, they did a cover of Alice in Chains. Oh, what was the song? Where was the song? Down in a Hole. Did a freaking Down in a Hole, and so it's an acoustic set. It's like an unplugged session, like one of the greatest Nirvana records was that unplugged record. Well, I haven't listened to the Code Orange thing yet. I really want to. I just found out about it while I was doing research for the episode, so we can't really talk anymore about it, so we're moving on. All right, so final piece in music news is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. The soundtrack playlist, the soundtrack album list, whatever. All of the songs that are going to be on the soundtrack have been announced, and we have, like we talked about previously, we do have a bunch of songs returning from the original soundtracks, but also we have like 30-something songs that are brand new to this reissue, remake, whatever, of the game, and it's pretty freaking awesome. We have some standout tracks from Rage Against the Machine, Tribe Called Quest, The Vandals, Goldfinger, Real Big Fish. It's so freaking awesome. Follow the link in the description. You can see a more comprehensive track listing. That's all we've got for music. Let's talk about TV streaming before my battery dies and I gotta switch it out. So TV streaming, we've got follow-ups and corrections, baby. First, we are talking about Umbrella Academy. This is a follow-up, premieres today, so if you don't have Netflix, what are you doing? Go get it and watch your Umbrella Academy because, again, one of the greatest comic book adaptations on TV streaming. And then the other one is Truth Seekers. So this is a correction because when I originally talked about it from Comic-Con at Home at the beginning of the week, I had it listed as a movie, and that is not the case. It is a series. This is going to be a supernatural horror comedy series from Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Yeah, man, it makes me so much more excited for it. I'm not even going to lie. So that's what we have for follow-ups and corrections. Now let's talk about the news. First up in actual news for TV streaming, we're talking about Splinter Cell. Netflix has reportedly ordered straight to series 2 seasons of Splinter Cell, the animated series. Really interesting in that it's going to be animated and it's Splinter Cell, so that's already pretty awesome to begin with. But on top of that, we have writer Derek Kolstad is going to be showrunner and producer and director, presumably, for this show. And why is that name significant? It's because he wrote all 3 John Wick movies. So will be interesting to see how that experience translates into something very different because Splinter Cell is very much covert ops and John Wick was kind of the opposite. So yeah, again, very interested to see what comes out of this partnership, and it's animated on top of that. So who the animation style is going to be from, any of all that news, we're going to be talking about it, keeping tabs on it as more comes out, but that's all we've got now, so we're moving on. Next, we're talking about Green Hornet. Kevin Smith has struck another deal for another series. The rights owner for Green Hornet is a company called Wild Brain. That's who owns the actual rights, the property, but who owns the distribution rights, I still am not entirely sure. Green Hornet, the Seth Rogen movie, is up on Netflix, so maybe they still have a deal with Netflix, so this will be another Kevin Smith series on Netflix. It is going to be live action. It's going to be animated. I can read. It's going to be animated. And it's going to be obviously based on the Green Hornet, but it's not going to be the Green Hornet that we already know and love. This is going to be kind of a similar situation to Kevin Smith's Green Hornet run in comic books not too long ago, in that it's going to be the son of the original Green Hornet and the daughter of Kato. So, yeah, very, very interesting. I know I use that word a lot, but whatever. Super... Just the strangeness of all that. I don't know. There's a lot about that I feel like is a little weird, so I will be keeping tabs on it as more develops, but that's all we've got. Again, moving on. Next, we're talking about the Emmys. If you still care about such things, I will link below to a complete list of the nominees for this year's Emmy Awards. Rambling. Moving on. And then our final piece of TV news, it has to do with 9 Lives of Ozzy, the biography that's going to be out on A&E very soon. The official release date is Monday, September 7th. It will air at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, rather. So that's when it's going. This is, if you don't know already, because we haven't talked about it, because I honestly just learned about this between filmings, the episode at the beginning of the week and now. It's a biography about Ozzy Osbourne. It's about his life. It is being produced by Osbourne Productions, so Sharon and Ozzy themselves have a very strong hand in the development of this biography. It's going to be 2 episodes, I believe is what it said. Or no, it's 2 hours long, rather. Sorry. 2 hours long. And I feel like it's going to be a little glossy because, again, Osbourne Productions do have a very large hand in the making of this documentary, but it'll still be really awesome to see how crazy Ozzy's life really was, at least according to them. So that is where we are for TV streaming. Now we are getting into movies, and we do have a single follow-up, rather, for movies. The Train to Busan sequel is called Peninsula. We know this. That is coming to American theaters. The release date was just given. August 21st is going to be the magical day, assuming we're open still and or by then. So, that's what we have for follow-ups. It's just that little bit about Peninsula. And then we're talking about news, and we have another documentary to be talking about. This time it is about Ren and Stimpy. Even in light of creator, I'm going to have to really butcher his name because I've never known how to pronounce this guy's last name. John Kricfalusi. John Kricfalusi. Even in light of all of the horrible things he's been alleged of doing in recent months and years, they're still doing this documentary, which is kind of awesome because it's great to do. The documentary is about the piece of art. It is not about the man. Though, if you watch the the trailer down low, then you will see that it is touching on the negative sides of the creator's life. So you can't talk about animation without talking about the impact of Ren and Stimpy, and the impact is directly related to the man who created the show. So you have to touch on these things. So I think it's going to be really great to see what they do with that. And again, it doesn't sound like they're using kid gloves with any of this stuff. So it'd be pretty freaking awesome. As we get more details, we will be talking about it. Maybe we'll even do a review, hopefully, if I have the time. And we're moving on. Next, we're talking about the AMC NBC Universal feud that started with all of this lockdown quarantine nonsense. Just a real quick refresh on what happened. AMC movie theaters had to close for a plethora of reasons, not the least of which being that there is a very highly communicable virus floating around these days that if you're in close proximity to somebody, i.e. in a movie theater in the seat next to them, you very well could get it if they have it. So, that being said, everything shut down. We know this. And then Universal started releasing movies on video on demand and not in theaters. And so AMC went, well, if this is their model going forward, then we're not going to do business with Universal, NBC Universal to be specific. Then the NBC Universal were like, well, sorry, but we want to make money too, and you guys aren't open, so what do you want us to do? You want us to lose money because you got nothing for us? That doesn't make any sense. We're going to keep doing what we do. Now it sounds like they have found some sort of middle ground, and it's a very strange middle ground. So the middle ground that they have found is that NBC Universal will release movies in theaters first, but instead of it being a 90-day window, so the minimum amount of time that you could go from a movie in the theaters to a movie in your hands or on your computer, whatever, what have you, in legal ways, not in, you pirates, you. So the fastest that could happen by contract, not because they didn't have the technology or the capabilities, but by contract was 90 days previously, at least between NBC Universal and their movie theater affiliates. So that has been changed from 90 days to right about 17 days. Really specifically what the contract says is it will be 3 weekends. So go from Friday and then 3 weeks later, that next Sunday. So again, right around 17 days, depending on how you do your math. That's their window. So if presumably, because the language of the contract says that they will then have the option to release the movie on video on demand or on physical media. So presumably, if the movie's not doing well in the theaters that they release it to, then that will be reason for them to go, okay, we're going video on demand for this one. But if the movie is doing well in theaters, then presumably they will take the option to keep it in theaters. I don't know how often that's going to happen, but I would imagine it happens eventually for something major and something you must go see in the theaters. But that is the middle ground that they have reached. Who knows if other production companies are going to make this same or a similar contract with their theater affiliates. So we will be keeping tabs on this as it develops, and we're moving on. The final piece that we have about movies for this episode has to do with Batman Death in the Family, or Death of the Family. No, I was right. Death of is the Snyder one. Anyway, sorry. So Death in the Family is getting the DC animated movie treatment, and it sounds a little messed up, a little bit of a cluster mess. So what it is obviously it's retelling of the comic book, how we got the Red Hood, how Jason Todd may or may not have actually died, and blah, 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 blah. And spoiler alerts for a really old comic book, I guess, and also a really old animated movie, What's Under the Red Hood. The reason I bring up Under the Red Hood is because the original cast from Under the Red Hood a chunk of it anyway, sounds like they're going to be coming back. So of the original cast, we have Bruce Greenwood, Vincent Martella, and John DiMaggio will be coming back as Batman, young Jason Todd, and the Joker, respectively. And then we have new voices from Zara Fazal as Talia al Ghul, Gary Cole as Two-Face, and James Gordon. Those three characters... No, Gordon was in Under the Red Hood, but whatever. The other two characters there weren't in the original Under the Red Hood story, but they are in the Death in the Family story. So the other thing that's really interesting about this is it's somehow going to be an interactive movie, and it's being released on Blu-ray and video on demand. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm very intrigued by the idea. Also, in the release, they are talking about that there's going to be multiple endings. You're going to make multiple choices throughout the course of the storytelling, so you can go back and watch this a number of different ways and get a different end result and get a different movie all the way through, is the way they're painting it out. So very interested to see how that happens. It's also, that's really notable because that's very much an homage to how the story was originally told in comic books anyway. So very excited, want to see this happen. That's all I've got. We're moving on. Now in gaming and tech, we're first talking about Amazon. So it's a tech thing. Amazon is going to be launching Project Kuiper to join SpaceX's recently and also announced Starlink project. So Kuiper is going to be, I'll give you that, and then we'll compare it to what SpaceX is doing. So Kuiper, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. They're launching 3,200 satellites into the low orbit of the Earth in order to give the world effectively broadband internet. Kuiper can function once they hit 527 satellites. So once they get that many satellites up in the sky, then they will unleash their broadband. No word as to how the structure is going to exist for their broadband, if it's going to be free, if you have to pay some sort of monthly charge or just a per usage charge. No idea. Hopefully it'll be part of your Amazon Prime subscription, because that would be freaking awesome. Though I would imagine then Amazon Prime prices would go up and so on and so forth. So that's basically what it is. They want to get broadband internet to everywhere in the world, because right now there's a lot of places, even in America, that are very difficult to get broadband internet to, like mountain areas and desert areas and so on and so forth, because it's just very difficult to develop physical connections in those areas. So if you can send it up to a satellite, the satellite can get everywhere because it's in space and it isn't hindered by those physical connections. So this is very, very similar, though I don't know how it's going to compare to SpaceX's Starlink program, which they got approval for from the FCC in 2018. Oh, that was the other part of this, is Kuiper just got FCC approval. So Starlink from SpaceX is 12,000 satellites that they plan on doing the same thing with, though I did not see what their minimum functionality number was going to be. So SpaceX, though, already has a few hundred satellites in the sky for this purpose. So they are presumably much closer to their end game than Amazon. And this is going to be such an interesting couple of years, because that's by 2029, Kuiper will be fully functional. They will have all of their satellites up in the sky. By 2026, they will be halfway to that goal. So we will presumably have Amazon's satellite internet by that point, and also very presumably have SpaceX Starlink internet by that point as well. So just the corporate espionage that is about to start to take place in space is enough science fiction for me, man. I can die a happy man. But that's what we've got there. We'll definitely be keeping tabs on this as more develops. Next, we're talking about the Consumer Electronics Show. This one could have technically been a follow-up for this section, but whatever. CES has been announced that is going fully digital this year, which I can understand how a convention, a comic book convention, can go fully digital, because, I mean, you're sitting in a room talking to people about a thing that you can ostensibly read on a piece of paper and therefore also see on a computer screen. And that's kind of like, that makes a little bit of sense. And also you're talking about pop culture things that you watch on screens anyway, so it is what it is. But CES is a place where developers go to sell physical wares. So if there is a physical copy of a thing and you're talking, like, I just don't understand. I feel like it should have just been put off until 2021. Instead, they're doing it this year. I mean 2022, because technically it's going to be in 2021. It's in January of 2021. I don't know how successful this year's CES show is going to be, though only the future will tell. So we'll cover it as it happens. Next, we're talking about Resident Evil 3. And this is our final piece for gaming, actually. Resident Evil 3 is getting DLC, and the fans rejoiced. And then they found out that the DLC is not to fix the missing portions of the story from the original game to the remake. The DLC is simply for the multiplayer game, the standalone multiplayer game that came bundled with Resident Evil 3. And it's just like skins and weapons. Presumably this is because they are pouring all of their work into the new Resistance game, as well as the new Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil 8. So Yeah. I. Yay. And then we would be talking about comic books and books, but I didn't have anything that I could find for this section that was really newsworthy. I mean, again, there's always stuff happening in comic books, and there's always books coming out every month. It's just, do they have relevancy to the nerd culture? Do we really care? Is Doors of Stone finally getting released? Well, we talked about that before. There is let's get into rumors. It's a rumors section, baby! And yeah, we've got things. One that's not going to be in the show notes, but I kind of was just talking about in comic books and books. The rumored release date for Doors of Stone is sometime next month. I believe it was like the 13th or so. So what is it, Wednesday that novels get released? So, or Thursday? I don't remember. But whatever, around the 13th is the rumored release of Doors of Stone from Patrick Rothfuss, the final book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. Well, that's debatable as well, but the next book in the Kingkiller Chronicles. So I couldn't remember if we covered this last week when I originally found it, but there it is again, and just in case. But the actual rumors that I have in the notes, we're first talking about Star Wars. Star Wars! Wonderful Star Wars! Beautiful Star Wars! We love you so! That's right. My girlfriend wrote that. So Star Wars, we actually have a few rumors we're going to talk about. So there is a new rumor that Lucasfilm is considering another movie in the Skywalker era that will be featuring Luke Skywalker. It is according to the rumor itself, so you can't really fault it for being just stuff that people are making up necessarily, but according to the rumor itself, this is just one of many options that Lucasfilm is looking at going forward with how they perceive they can possibly fix the Skywalker saga. I don't know if that's going to do it, but this will be Luke after Return of the Jedi, and it will be in the same continuity as The Mandalorian. So this feels very iffy. I feel like this is like a 15% chance that this is legit. I just don't really buy this at all. I do think there's a slim possibility because Mandalorian is doing so well for them. Why wouldn't they try and capitalize on the other thing that did well for them initially, right? So put Luke in the same world as Mando and you have good? I don't know. I don't think that's where their head is at. But we have other rumors to talk about. So next we are talking about two potentially related rumors. First, and much more broad, is the possibility that Lucasfilm is potentially going to open up the option for filmmakers to make R-rated Star Wars movies. No. This rumor, 0% possibility that it is going to be actualized. I really do not think, for a number of reasons, not the least of which being that George Lucas originally created Star Wars for children. So that being said, everything in the Star Wars universe has to be through that lens. To some degree. Yes, I know there have been some very adult books and video games, even adult being like very mature themes, not necessarily boobs and butts and such. So I just don't see a movie having that much gravitas coming out at all. Having enough mature rated material for it to get an R rating. Maybe a PG-13 rating because we've seen that once before. But yeah, no, I don't see R-rated? No. And then the other rumor, like I said, these two are potentially closely related, is there is an Order 66 movie that is also presumably on the table in front of Disney that is reportedly going to be very quote-unquote dark. So if the first rumor is true, then that gives more credence to this rumor, but I don't know if they're necessarily mutually inclusive. I think potentially Order 66 is a very interesting time in the Star Wars history, so that has more likelihood of being legit. I would say we're looking at like 25% likelihood for the Order 66 movie. Zero. I still am not convinced ever that Lucasfilm will approve of an R-rated Star Wars movie. It's just not going to happen. So we're squashing some Star Wars rumors here today on Generally Nerdy, baby. That is what we have for Star Wars. Next, we're moving over to a quick gaming rumor, and that is Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is rumored to have a free-to-play multiplayer game. Presumably, this is going to be 343 Studios' response to Battle Royale games being free to play. They're going to just let you play Halo Infinite multiplayer for free. Maybe. I really feel like there is a pretty halfway decent chance that this is a thing because, again, we have Battle Royale games that are free to play across the board, and what is Halo multiplayer if not a smaller version of a Battle Royale? And even in the next generation could be the size of a Battle Royale. I mean, even in Master Chief Collection, there's options where you can do, it's 16 against 16, I believe, is the largest you can do, if memory serves. I don't play matches that large. I usually play SWAT, which is 4-on-4. So I don't really, I'm giving this one about a 30 to 35% chance of being legit because it sounds like there's a lot of sense to be made there, but it also, there's not anything that 343 has come out and said, hey, we want to be developing something to compete with Battle Royale games. They kind of have their niche and they're pretty stuck in there. So I don't know, 30 to 35%. We're moving on. Next, we're talking about The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. The petition that we talked about previously has like almost 200,000 signatures on it at this point. They were originally going for 100,000, and then they bumped it up to 130, and then they bumped it up to 150, and I think it's close to 190, very, very close to 190. It's been a couple of days since I looked, so I don't know, but the rumor about this one is HBO Max might actually pick it up instead of Netflix. Now, there are a couple of caveats here, just from the relationship that we know that Netflix had with Disney about their Marvel shows and so on and so forth. Presumably, there is a similar contract between Warner Brothers and Netflix. So it would be, 6 years before we can see the release of something that was on Netflix then go over to whoever the rights revert to. So in this case, that would be Warner Brothers. But I don't know. HBO Max is very hard up for new content, so maybe they would be willing to take the chance and buy out that contract from Netflix so they can capitalize on fan demand as it is still relevant. And we do have that petition nearing 200,000 subscriptions or signatures. That seems to make a whole lot of sense. I'm giving this one about a 50-50 shot. I think there is a strong potential that this rumor could have a lot of legs, actually. Next, we are talking about Judge Dredd, and we are squashing this rumor. This rumor is not true. Well, a very large part of this rumor. So the rumor, it comes from an interview that Jason Kingsley, who is the CEO of Rebellion, which is the company that owns the movie rights or the screen rights, I guess, for Judge Dredd. And so I'm going to read you the quote. It's a little long, so bear with me. But I want there to be a sequel. We've got the rights back, so we can do it. We've just got to get rid of this virus thing that's going on at the moment. And then hopefully things can kick off in all sorts of different areas of making film and TV. It's all very messed up at the moment for everyone. A lot of work has been done in all sorts of different scripts, actually. So Mega City 1, the TV show, basically we can't go into production because of the situation, and we've got scripts, and everything is ready to go. But the problem is, because of the situation, everyone's funding changes and everybody's shifting around. Well, if we can get people back, we've even joked that it would be quite fun to get Stallone back. So what's the rumor that this squashes? Well, the rumor says that they're looking to cast Stallone. That's not what he said. You heard, I just read you verbatim what the guy said in the interview. He did not say we are looking to cast Stallone. He said, hey, wouldn't it be funny? Like just shooting the shit with your friends. All of the sudden somebody says, ha, wouldn't that be awesome if we could get Sylvester Stallone back? Yeah, that was said, but that doesn't mean they want to cast him. I'm sure if the opportunity arose, they would not turn it down, but that is not, they are not actively pursuing Sylvester Stallone. We do know that Carl Urban wants to come back for the Mega City 1 series, and maybe it sounds like the rumor should be that they're in development, maybe early development to some stage of another Judge Dredd movie or something along those lines. But looking to cast Stallone? No. Rumor squashed, 0% on that. We're moving on. Next, we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. This is not a gaming rumor. This is a movie rumor. So there's actually technically two rumors here. First of all, the Horizon Zero Dawn movie is in development. That is rumored to be true. And the second half of this rumor is that they are looking at Jennifer Lawrence to play the lead for the movie. So we're going to give two likelihoods. The likelihood that Horizon Zero Dawn is in early stages of development, sure, 50-50, that makes sense. It's a very well-selling game. It's a very well-received game. Critics love it. Fans love it. Absolutely. Turn that into a movie franchise. If you can, by all means. Jennifer Lawrence, on the other hand, that part sounds like somebody just really, really dream casting. Like, who would I want to play a main character whose primary weapon is a bow and arrow and is a strong female to boot? Well, that's already happened. It's called The Hunger Games. Go watch it. I don't think the Jennifer Lawrence angle on this one is true at all. We're going 5% because there might be something there, but even if they were looking to cast her, I don't think she would want to do that again. Futuristic, post-apocalyptic movie where the strong female protagonist that shoots a bow and arrow. She's done that. She's not the kind of person to revisit the same ground. She's moved on, so why don't we? And our final rumor has to do with Deadpool 3. This one I think we're squashing as well. So Deadpool 3, one of the ideas supposedly on the table for Marvel is that because of Deadpool's self-awareness that he is a character in a thing, that they can do whatever they want with him. So they're going to have him jump through different universes inside the MCU, and at one point he's going to come across, and in Deadpool 3 it's going to be the big villain, and that is Galactus. What are you nerds thinking? No, this is not, and even the rumor says it's not going to be the Galactus that we will eventually get in the MCU proper. It's just going to be a Galactus from a different universe inside of the overall multiverse for Marvel. So he's going to go up against the smoke monster from the Green Lantern? No. That's not how that works. That joke would be made though if that movie actually happened. Anyway, so no, this is 0% possibility. There's no likelihood in my mind that this is going to happen. Deadpool 3 will happen. It will likely be a pretty hard PG-13. It will push the boundaries of that rating, but Feige won't let it happen unless it is a PG-13. I feel like those rumors are legit. This Galactus thing, not likely. But that's what we've got for rumors. And the episode, guys. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next one? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper in the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. Patreon.com/generallynerdy. If you want to support, that is an awesome thing to do. Really just clicking the subscribe button, watching these episodes, thumbsing up when you agree with the things I have to say, thumbs down with the things you don't agree with. That's totally fine too, but all of that is free. You don't have to do anything for that. So by all means, just keep doing that. And if you want to give me $1 a month so that you can get all of the back episodes on the audio podcast so you can keep up on your nerd news on your drive home or to work, whatever, then that's also pretty freaking awesome. But the free stuff works just as well. So thank you, nerds, once again. If you are falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, then right below my face right about now, there should be 2 boxes. You can click or tap either of those, and they will take you to other things right here on the show, right here on the channel, rather. The everything is obviously everything, and then the back episodes of the show will take you to all of the other nerd news stuff. So thank you very much, nerds. Before we head out, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.